Donald Trump is officially the next president of the United States of America. In today's video, we're going to look at some details of what this means for the market, especially the crypto market and the Forex market. I'm going to look at what happened last time he got elected in 2016 and what that meant to the market. And I do see some signs of history repeating itself, and I do have some positions opened based on this. I'm going to walk you through everything, show you my analysis for the next 12 months or so for the Forex market and the crypto market. Before we go into the charts, I would like to welcome you all to the video, both my current subscribers and new viewers as well. My name is Jonatan Randin. This is RL Said Trading, where we help you simplify your path to trading greatness. I've been trading for 8 years. I've started in the crypto market and I'm now a professional trader within the Forex market. I'm also working full-time for the prop firm company called The Fivers. You can find a link in the description below to get a 10% discount on your next challenge, your next evaluation on with the Fivers. And if you are new here, welcome. I would really appreciate it if you can hit that subscribe button and like the video. Let's get into the charts here. So what you see here is this is a weekly chart of the S&P 500 equities index chart. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to trading view here. I'm going to press that plus button because I want to be adding the DXY. Now the DXY, and I'm gonna do an explanation here of a short idea I have on EURUSD and a long idea I have on Bitcoin, but the analysis behind this is substantial. So we're gonna be starting with this, and then I'm gonna slowly walk you through what I think will be happening next year in the market based on what happened when Trump got elected in 2016. So now we have the dollar currency index here, and we have the S&P 500. See, the S&P 500 being the blue line here, and the dollar currency index being the red line. I'm going to go to the DXY here, or the Dixie as we call it. I'm going to press the 3 buttons here, press more, and I'm going to go down to move to, and then pin to scale. I'm going to go to pin to new left scale. I'm going to right click that one. I'm going to click regular so that I can move it around. Now, let's go to November 2016. Okay, this is November 2016. The first vertical line here where it says elections is, surprise, surprise, this is when the election results came out of the US. Now, this is on the weekly charts. It happened around right here. And then we have the inauguration of the president. This is when he gets inaugurated. This is when I believe he officially becomes president and perhaps gets into the White House. So what we have here is between the time of the election and the inauguration, we're seeing a positive correlation with the dollar currency index and the S&P 500. So the dollar currency index is basically a basket of currencies, mostly EURUSD, and you use it to measure the strength of the American dollar. If the dollar currency index is trending up, that means that there's dollar strength. If it's trending down, that means it's dollar weakness. It's basically a way to look at the US dollar strength. And then the red line is the S&P 500 equities index, and this is obviously a good way of viewing risk sentiment. So what is risk sentiment? Well, let me quickly and briefly explain what risk on means. If you're in a risk on environment, that means you as an investor are looking to buy risk assets meaning equities, stocks, Bitcoin, things like that. You're ready to put on risk because you think that the market is going to enter a bull run. It's going to rally. So you're going to put on risk. You're going to buy assets that are risky. That's a risk on environment when investors pile into risk assets to speculate on more upside, basically. Risk on environment is where the market becomes risky and investors are pulling out their funds from the risk assets and putting it into more safe assets like the US dollar. The US dollar is usually performing well in the risk on environment where investors are fearful. The dollar currency index going up is a decent indication of a risk on environment. The S&P 500 going up is a good indication of a risk on environment. Here, between election and inauguration, we are seeing a positive correlation between the dollar currency index and the S&P 500. This is not usually the case, but I'm making a bet on dollar strength during this period. And I'm also making a bet on risk because I do think that the period between now and inauguration, we will have a positive relationship. We will have this repeating basically. And as you can see here, after inauguration, this correlation between this positive correlation between the dollar currency index and the S&P 500 is breaking. As you can see right here, we see that there's a big downtrend on the dollar currency index while there's a massive uptrend on the S&P 500. And I believe that when this correlation breaks, that's when we're going to be entering the true and strong bull market for risk assets like the S&P 500 and Bitcoin. And I believe that that's the time when Bitcoin will potentially reach upwards 100 or 150. I got my target of 160k. And we're going to be looking closely at the Bitcoin trade idea as well shortly. Let's see how long between the elections and inauguration. I think it's going to be about between 60 and 70 days. So yeah, so let's just say 60 and 70 days. Now, when there's dollar strength, it means that things like EURUSD is obviously going to move to the downside. If the US dollar is stronger than the European, the euro, then that you will most likely see the euro dollar move to the downside. Before we look at that idea though, I want to go to the current time that we are in. So let's move to current time. Where do we have that? That's going to be right here. So now we have again the dollar currency index being the red line and the S&P 500 being the blue line. So we are seeing some of that positive correlation right here. On the daily right here, what we're seeing is that when we had the elections, which happened, what's that on? Yes, Tuesday. I think this was around this time when the results came out and when it was more, obvious. We say elections right here. And of course, on around the 20th of January, I believe, all the way back here, we're going to have that inauguration. So inauguration should be around between 65 and 75 days or something like that, I believe, is when the correlation is going to break. So I'm expecting that we are going to see this relationship continuing that we saw last time. Okay, so we have the S&P 500 in blue and the dollar currency index. You can see that they both spiked to the upside, and I believe that this positive correlation will continue from election to the inauguration of the president of the United States. And I'm basically trading this. Okay, so I'm going to be trading this positive relationship by placing a short trade on EURUSD while keeping my Bitcoin longs open. Okay, in this time period, I do believe that there's going to be a positive relationship between USD strength and EURUSD. Now, this is also based on the fact that I believe that people are expecting Donald Trump to utilize tariffs even more than he did last time around. So you've seen anything that Donald Trump has been saying, especially if you watch maybe the interview on Joe Rogan, he talked a lot about tariffs. Tariffs the most beautiful thing. We're going to solve every problem with tariffs. Tariffs going to make the economy great again, things like that. If he, well, it doesn't really matter because this relationship is going to happen before he starts implementing tariffs. But I believe that people are expecting the tariffs to work in a way that might strengthen the US economy. Okay, I think people are also expecting Trump to come in and maybe help with the tensions in Israel, in Ukraine, and the fact that Trump, compared to other presidents and especially other candidates, are probably better with business. So risk on is seeing a push to the upside with Trump. But I'm also thinking that they're expecting the US dollar to be strong because of him implementing tariffs in the right way. Now, what happens after inauguration and when he actually starts implementing tariff, then maybe at that point we have a whole different idea. But what I'm trading on here is people's expectations of what Trump will do when he's in office, okay? And that's based on, one, solving economic uncertainties, solving macroeconomic, global geopolitical tensions, and implementing tariffs that would strengthen the manufacturing sector within the US. Now, let's move on to the actual idea. We're going to move on to EURUSD. This is the idea that I have for the EURUSD short. What you see right here is, let's remove the dollar currency index here. So the idea here for the euro short is that we broke a very important support area right here. Now, if we back it up here, we can see that we had a very, very good breakup structure to begin with euro USD right here. Let me paint that up because I think this is just a beautiful market structure break right here. Something like that, right? And then of course Trump got elected and boom, we had that one right there. And I remember saying that, okay, if this level gets lost and we have a bearish rejection at that level, well, obviously I'm going to go ahead and short this level for a possible move to the downside. And what happened was we came back up, we tested that broken support right here. We had an SR flip. Basically what that means is support turns into resistance, right? We had a fib from that fib anchor high to the fib anchor low, and this is where we had the rejection between the 50% fib and the 0.618 fib. And my target for this, now you're going to see that I have a target all the way down here. Now this is obviously a long shot. I'm not going to say it's a gamble, but it's in case this idea continues to run after inauguration and we're seeing a continuation of the USD strength, I want to make sure that I have a position open for possibly hitting the high time frame 0.618 fib, which is created by using a fib anchor low here to that fib anchor high here. That creates the 0.618 here as a big monthly untested level. Remember, this is untested level. We had a big move to the downside and a massive bounce, big strong weekly candle, and an untested level right here which aligns with the 0.618. If we break this area, I do suspect that EURUSD is probably going to come down and test the 1.02 area. But remember, this idea is also based on the dollar currency index chart and strength from the dollar. So let's go look at the dollar currency index chart where we are currently trading within a range. And if EURUSD is going to move lower, I look at, let's go to EURUSD here. Go to current prices. So this is currently where we have EURUSD. Let's go to the daily. We're going to mark out this one. So that's the fib. We got EURUSD at the bottom and we have the dollar currency index at that out. Remember the 0.618. That's the monthly untested level. But that level will most likely only be hit if the dollar currency index breaks these highs. Okay, remember, if the dollar currency index is going to break these highs, then we are most likely going to break this low on EURUSD. Now remember, EURUSD is almost 60% of the dollar currency index basket of currencies. So what we're looking at here, and it should be quite obvious to most of you looking here, we have a correlation. Looking at the weekly here, it looks almost like the exact same chart, but in reverse. And that's because the dollar currency index is mostly mirroring EURUSD because it's 60% of the basket of currencies. I think more exactly it's going to be like 57% or something like that. But if the dollar currency index is going to reach the range highs, which I see as highly likely at this point, then Euro USD will most likely hit these lows, like range lows. Now, of course, if the dollar currency index is going to break these highs, then where do we think that price is going to move to? Well, probably the untested area that we have up here around this area. And that would, of course, align with the untested level around the 0.618 on Euro USD below. Now let's see, where is the fibs on this move right here from the high to the low? Well, where does the fib come in? The 0.618. It's gonna come in right here. Okay, a break below this support, we hit the 0.618. A break above that resistance, we most likely hit the 0.618. Now let me walk you through the actual trade idea on Euro USD, break down the entry and everything. So what really alerted me to this setup right here was the fact that we had right here, if we add the Bollinger Bands on the 4-hour on Euro USD, we have great confluence here between them. Okay, so we have right here what I really like about this one, and I've started using the Bollinger Bands more in my analysis, and I've seen that when the low Bollinger Bands when the low Bollinger Bands or the high Bollinger Bands or the middle line, and most of the time it's going to be the middle line, when the middle line of the Bollinger Bands aligns with the 50% fib or the 0.618 fib and a horizontal level, you have most likely a very good entry. And that alerts me to look for an entry trigger, and the entry trigger in this case is going to be this bearish engulfing candle right here. That bearish engulfing candle right here alerted me to enter this trade. So when I saw this, that's when I decided to enter this trade. Most of the profits from this trade will be taken at these lows, because this support area on EURUSD is the same support area, or is the resistance at the dollar currency index. You can see right here I got TP1 and then TP2 and TP3 here for if that level breaks. Now that's the trade idea on EURUSD, using a mix of fundamental analysis, being the Trump being elected, and with the tariffs and the positive correlation between the dollar currency index and the S&P 500, basically the positive correlation between US strength and risk on between the election day and inauguration day. And because I also think that after the inauguration, the dollar strength will weakening. We will see a weakening of the dollar, and that should push risk assets even higher. And that's when I think we will see a strong bull market. That's going to be the start of a very powerful bull market that's going to last for, I believe, even up to a year from today. And that is why, if we take a closer look at the Bitcoin, we're going to be seeing exactly what I talked about. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, if you've been following this channel for a while, you know that I had a live stream around the end of July here, where I told you guys that, if you remember when the German government started selling loads of Bitcoin, I told you guys this is where you want to be buying Bitcoin. If you're not in Bitcoin already, remember we started buying Bitcoin, accumulated Bitcoin all the way back here when the MVRVC score entered the buy zone. But I also told you recently, this is the level where you want to be buying Bitcoin. Now, from 60 days from now, about 70 days or so from now, we're going to have the inauguration, and I believe that's when the big moves are going to happen, and that's going to be right here. I think that's when the real push to the upside begins, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Bitcoin trading maybe around the 85 area or so when that begins. So it's only going to be 15% below 100k, which gives more, which adds more to the idea that the upper band of this green area of the Bitcoin logarithmic regression indicator is going to act as strong resistance. But eventually I do see us breaking through that level and reaching the 160k region for Bitcoin. As you guys know, I believe that around between 160 and 200k, that's my target, and I believe that's also when the MVRVC score for Bitcoin is going to enter the sell zone, and I believe that's the end of this Bitcoin bull run cycle for a nice 900% to the upside, and that's probably also going to be the end of the overall risk on market as we know, and that's probably going to push macro assets and risk assets generally to the downside for a new downwards cycle to begin. And that's where we're going to be looking for short opportunities. We're going to be selling our risk assets. We're going to be looking for shorts opportunity on Bitcoin. That's it for me today. This is my plan for 2025 with Bitcoin and the overall Forex market. Thanks for watching. If you like this type of analysis where I'm mixing technical analysis with fundamental analysis, make sure to leave a comment and make sure to hit that like and subscribe to the channel. Take care. See you all in the next one.